Yes. And we all know the clock started officially for Desmond
Yes.
Ridder yesterday in New Orleans. So, of course, Desmond Ridder got his NFL debut going on Sunday. It didn't turn out W's wise as
Right.
Ridder and the Falcons may have hoped, because, of course, 21-18 was the final. Falcons are now 5-9, but miraculously still in it because nobody in the
One
NFC
game out of
South
the NFC
won
South.
but the Saints yesterday. And they barely won. They were trying to say, no, here, you Falcons, you take the dub. No, you
Right.
take the dub. So finally, one team out of the entire division gets the win. But more importantly, it was Desmond Ridder. And
Mhm.
whether or not he got the win yesterday, for me, he did. And let me say why.
Okay.
I've heard a couple people kind of throw out there what his grade was. For me, the grade was incomplete. But there were a few questions that I had going, and there were a few things I wanted to see. The number one thing I wanted to see was the mental piece, and whether or not he would make a mistake, which he it was pretty much mistake free, other than maybe a little bit of shaky question at the end, like, "Hey man, just throw the Hail Mary, don't like go out of bounds."
Yes. Yeah.
But other than that, there weren't a lot of mental miscues, so I felt like he was fine with me on that. And the other piece was, could he go through something like reading progressions, right? And I would
Mm.
say he probably lapsed a little bit on that, understandably so. Drake London is his security blanket. So he went
Yes.
to his whoopee more
Oh,
often than
yes.
not.
Yes.
Understood. But so my question to you is, as far as what you saw yesterday, how do you grade? And when I say grade, I don't mean A through F necessarily,
Mm.
but how do you evaluate Ritter's performance, and what were your overall thoughts about how it impacted the game?
To be honest with you,
Versus,
I
I'm
thought.
sorry, Jarvis, let
Mhm.
me qualify.
Mhm.
Versus how it would have been if Marcus Mariota would have been in there. And I have to say that because I think that's where some of the conversation really comes. But go ahead.
Let me say this, because here's the thing. Like, I think that Desmond Ridder, when you look at it from in certain situations, I
Mhm.
like what I saw. I,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like what I saw on fourth down.
Yes. Yes.
Standing in there and making that doggone throw to Drake London so he can have an opportunity to fumble the ball. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
There it is.
So, and then there was one particular situation that I really, really liked, and I think that Marcus Mariota, we making these comparisons, right? That's what we're
Yes.
gonna do.
Yeah.
Marcus Mariota, there were times I felt like he didn't really stand in their pocket and just fire that bad boy away and staring down the barrel of the gun, so to speak,
Yes.
if I can use that analogy safely. And I just thought Marcus Mariota did not do that. He did
Right.
not do that from a footwork standpoint. He just did not do that. And there was one particular time with Desmond Ridder. It was a free rusher. The guy came
Mhm.
scot free, and his buddy, his roomie, was coming across that middle, and he hadn't quite cleared that linebacker just yet. And
Mhm.
Desmond Ridder held onto the ball as long as he could. As
Yes.
soon as that free rusher came towards, he fired that bad boy in there,
Yes.
like it was a doggone a cannonball coming out of a
Mhm.
cannon, and it
Mhm.
was right there on Drake London where it needed to
Yes.
be. And I
Mhm.
think those are some of the things that you have to pay attention to, not
Yes.
necessarily the end result. Of course, you want to get the dub. Don't
Right.
get me wrong. And we
Mhm.
don't know if he probably would have gotten the dub if Drake London hadn't fumbled the ball. So
True.
I think part of my grade has to be incomplete because of Drake. But when you're talking about, overall, I think
Mhm.
that you have to look at it from a standpoint of, there were some times where he looked like a rookie quarterback, and
Sure.
then there were some times where you could say, dude might be on to something.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to parse my words or anything like that. I said what I said. I mean exactly what I said. He looked like he might be on to something. And I'm not
Yes.
saying this dude gonna be the next Matt Ryan, but you can see there are some traits and qualities that this dude has that
Mhm.
Mariota doesn't have, and you
Yes.
understand why Arthur Smith made that decision to go with him.
Yes, and I believe for me it was a little bit of a pleasant surprise that I was, for the most part, pleased with the mental piece of his game, right? But I was
Yeah.
actually, and I won't even say impressed. I think I was impressed that he had the opportunity to show the other side of his game, because
Right.
people have been putting out this narrative about his lack of mobility, and I'm thinking to myself, so you all are telling me you never see you apparently you didn't watch any Cincinnati games,
Right.
because he may not have run down the field like a Mariota per se, but then he doesn't have to, because he knows how to sit in the pocket until the last possible moment and
Mm-hmm.
then toss the ball, which means, hey, let me just double check my one read, my two read, my three read before I take off. So I'm okay with the fact that maybe he doesn't seemingly have the mobility that Mariota has, because You don't need to. Your arm is better. The end. The other piece is there, even when he made rookie mistakes, I said, he's making these mistakes as a rookie in an all for the marbles game in one of the most hostile environments in the league. Right. That's a lot on a rookie. And I felt like, but he did just as good as the guy who had been playing this game 7 years would have done if he had been in. How do we know? Because we saw him in week 1 against the same team. Okay. That's how we know. So for me, it was good. I'm good to go. Hopefully we'll have a chance to see in the next 3 weeks something that will make Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot determine whether or not they need to go back into the draft, meaning in the first round or second round, and get themselves some backup, or if they feel like they can build around him and then maybe wait until the later stages to get themselves a backup, assuming that there's really no backup that's going to come in free agency, which as far as the eye can tell, there is not. But yeah, overall for me, I was excited. And I thought for the most part, other than a few calls early, I thought that Arthur Smith did a nice job and Dave Ragone of putting together a game plan that fit Ridder.
And I love how you put that, right? Because to start the game off, a lot of people like to come in, start questioning Arthur Smith about his play calling. Oh, you passing the ball. But like, if you just listen to your folk right here on ATL Day Ones, we'll put you up on game. Like, understand what the situation was.
Yes.
New Orleans Saints a good defense. They've been known to give a little bit in that back end on the secondary, right? Mm-hmm. We know they're gonna pack the box. They know you're gonna run the football,
right?
And you're gonna take some shots down the field. That's just football. Mm-hmm. So you can't question those type of things because the scenario presented itself to where it made sense for them to do so. Yeah. And in the past, they haven't been able to do that. No. So guess what they're going to do? Yeah. Regardless of experience playing in the NFL, if a scenario presents itself to where they need to take a shot to maybe loosen up that defense or let them know, hey, we're going to do this today. If you're going to stack that box, and you better be ready, they're going to do so. That's what good play callers do. They set things up for later on in the game to where, hey, we know they're going to set a shot play, so maybe we don't need to put 9 in the box. And guess what? Then you have a running back, 1 + 1 = 2, or 139 yards rushing in the game. So think about what you're saying, people, because you're starting to reveal yourself to not know much about football when you start talking about certain things. So but I applaud Arthur Smith for the game plan. I don't question him for doing those things to start off the game. And like I said, hey, that's game one down. Let's see what happens next.
Let's see what happens next. Again, at least you have some excitement there. And hopefully, like you said, he'll have an opportunity to continue to show what he can do. I think once he gets more comfortable with Olamide Zaccheaus, with Damiere Byrd, and even with his set, Parker Hesse, and his set of tight ends, as well as running backs, I think we're going to see them open it up a little bit more, little by little, the next few weeks. And we shall see, because I still think that he has the ability to keep them in this playoff hunt. I mean, the division kept the Falcons in the playoff hunt. Yes,
within one score at the end of the game with a play needing to be made. They just didn't make the play.
Yeah, right. And you cannot lay that at the feet of Desmond Ridder. So I'm glad you said that, because again, that goes to something we'll talk about in the FTC, which is that you simply cannot lay a loss at the feet of a player. However, the folks at Locked On Sports Today might say otherwise, because I believe they might lay the feet at, I don't know if they're going to lay the feet at all the Patriots, or if they're going to lay the feet at dude who decided to do the lateral Hail Mary, whatever thing it was. But if you
Jacoby Myers, what are you doing?
Right. Like Jacoby, be Jacoby Jones, not Jacoby Myers. That's the better dude to be if you're a Jacoby. But anywho, you want to know who's going to talk about it? Locked On Sports Today. Those guys give great reaction and instant reaction to all the things that happened, including what happened in a pivotal game last night between the Commanders and the Giants, and whether or not a couple missed calls may have cost the Commanders that game. You want to hear that kind of reaction? Check out Locked On Sports Today. You can check them out wherever you check us out, Odyssey app, YouTube, or even wherever you download your podcast, because they got all the good. And they can even tell you what their take of the day is. I mean, who knows? We're about to give you our take of the day on FTC, so they may give you their take of the day as well. I don't doubt that they're going to even want to weigh in on the likes of what does the final domino of shortstops in Major League Baseball, what What now? So if you want to know about it, again, after you check out ATL Day Ones, check out Locked On Sports today.